Alright, so we're doing Star Wars today, and this is the first part of this video is going to be a non-spoiler reaction, not a review of the movie Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Uh, for me, I had a great time watching it. I thought this movie was made for the Star Wars hardcore fan. For those who've already been through all the movies, seen all the shows, all the cartoons, all the toys, all merchandise, been with Star Wars for a very long time. And yes, it's like a fitting end for the entire Skywalker saga, which includes the standalone films like Solo, Rogue One, for Clone Wars, all of that, everything involved in the Skywalker saga. I thought this was a fitting end. And yes, it does include Episode 8. I mean, without Episode 8 or any of the other episodes, this movie would not be possible. I don't think this movie would have worked without all episodes 1 to 8, Solo, Rogue One, The Clone Wars, Rebels, and quite possibly even Mandalorian. Uh, it may not be perfect for some Star Wars fans. I'm sure there are a lot of fanboys, fangirls out there who are going to nitpick on this movie. But for me, I thought it was perfect. It has all the elements of a Star Wars film you could ever ask for. Uh, if you could think of a Star Wars film, you think about why you enjoyed it, that element is going to be in this movie. I don't want to talk about it too much because it might turn out to be a spoiler. So I'm going to talk about that in the second part of the video. So, probably my best advice, I guess, for those of you who are still about to watch the film is first off, not to overthink this. I mean, just go there and expect everything. Don't have any expectations. Just go there, relax, enjoy the movie for what it is. Ha- uh, just just keep in mind that this is the last movie, the last installment for the Skywalker saga, and you're going to want to relish every bit, every second, every minute of that film. That's what I did. And for me, there were no dull moments. I don't know what some other critics are saying, probably not really Star Wars fans, but there was not a dull moment for me. And it's going to hit you very fast in your face. It's going to hit you hard, fast, and right in your face. And you're going to have a great time watching it. Now, if Episode 9 is going to be your first Star Wars movie, you've never seen the cartoons like the Clone Wars, you've never seen episodes 1 through 8, you've never seen Rebels or anything like that, anything to do with Star Wars, if this is your first Star Wars movie experience, well, I would suggest that before you go and watch it, you still have time to download or go to Disney Plus and watch episodes 1 through 8. It's not that difficult. Watch the Clone Wars, watch Rebels, watch Solo, watch um, Rogue One, okay, because you're gonna need it. The movie will still make sense if it's your even if it's your first movie, but I personally believe that the enjoyment level reaches 100% if you've been through all that Star Wars uh, films and shows. That's just my opinion. So, with that, I wish everybody a great time watching this film. Uh, just go there, empty your thoughts, be one with the Force, and you're gonna have a great time with this movie. Enjoy every bit of it. All right. So if you're gonna go now, I suggest if you've not seen the movie, proceed no further. Pause this video right now and save it for later. File it in your saved videos or like videos or whatever. But stop this video right now. Because from this point on, I will be discussing the movie in some detail, and I'll be discussing some spoilers, definite spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you know what? If you've never seen the movie, don't let yourself be spoiled. Right now, turn off this video, go watch the movie. After you've watched the movie, come back to this point of the video and let's talk Star Wars. Okay? I think that's fair warning. All right. So if you're still here, I'm going to assume that you've already seen the film. okay? And everything's going to be a spoiler, okay? So you've seen the film. Let's talk about the rise of Skywalker. So, like I said, it immediately hits you in your face. It's fast. It's hard. It's just right there into the action. The Emperor is back. Darth Sidious. Sheev Palpatine is back, and immediately you get that in the beginning of the movie. And I'm thinking how. And if you recall in Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine talked about the unnatural elements or side of the dark side of the Force, which can even bring people back to life, the mastery of life and death, and all that. So it's not unthinkable, it's not improbable that this could have happened. Um, it would have been a nice ending to the saga had Palpatine been dead, but it's not implausible that he can be brought back to life, especially if there's a clan, a cult that is a good, strong follower of the dark side and their emperor. They could literally bring him back through use of the dark side of the Force, which, just a slight footnote on the Force, which I'll talk about later again in the video. It's not exclusive to Sith or Jedi. The Jedi, the Sith, they were wielders of the Force, but the Force reveals itself to every living creature in the universe, and that's I guess how we get to see people wielding the Force, even though if they're not Sith and Jedi in the comic books, in the cartoon, whatever. Okay, so he comes back. He's brought back to life through the dark side of the Force, we assume, and he connects everything. He's been in the shadows after his demise. He's been controlling the events of episode 7 and 8 and 9. Snoke was revealed to be sort of his machination, his creation. Could have been a clone of him, that he was quite probably the beta version of him, because it felt like Snoke was the Emperor, but he wasn't. And this scene, when the Sith is revealed, it kind of makes more sense now that they tried to replicate and build another Emperor in the form of Snoke. Okay, and he's trying to train Kylo, a Skywalker, much like Darth Vader, which is also a Skywalker, and he wanted him to be the new Darth Vader, essentially, and that's what he was trying to do. And he wanted to be rid of people who were in his way, namely Rey. That was the child he failed to kill, and it's interesting because now you're trying to understand how insidious the dark side of the Force is, and it's like in real life that there's always evil among us, because without evil there could be no good, and in this same vein, without the dark side there can be no light side of the Force. It's two sides of the same coin, yin and yang, which has been delved into in a lot of episodes in Rebels, maybe even in the Clone Wars. Okay, so our three protagonists, Finn, Poe, and Rey, are off to a quest immediately, right off the bat. They're sent off to a quest. They need to find the Sith homeworld, and to do that, they need to find wayfinders, these devices that will help them locate the homeworld. And they found out about this through clues. And they go to a planet. They meet Lando, which is amazing. I thought that was great. It just wasn't quite of a surprise because initially Disney had already revealed that Lando Calrissian was going to be in the movie, and when the character appeared in a mask, I kind of knew it was going to be Lando. So I kind of hate Disney for revealing that Billy D. Williams would be reprising his role. Anyway, so they get to find a dagger which has clues. They go to the last spot where Luke Skywalker was following a trail that went cold on where to find the homeworld of the Sith. And the movie begins, the crawl of the movie begins. There is a voice broadcasted over the galaxy that the Emperor has returned. It's sort of like a rumor right now, but it's getting to be a reality. So they go on an adventure. To me, this is amazing. This is like what Star Wars has been all about since the original trilogy. That it's always been Han, Luke, and Leia, and now you get Finn, Poe, and Rey, and not necessarily in that order. Rey could be the new Luke, Han is like Finn, and then Leia could be Poe, or the other way around. Like Finn is Leia, and then Poe is Han because he's such a swashbuckler. Or they all have elements of Luke, they all have elements of Han, and they all have elements of Leia. So I thought it was very interesting that it's the three of them again, once again, in the final act of the Skywalker saga, much like Harry Potter, Hermione, Ron, and Harry. Okay, I do have a comment on the Wayfinder. If that's what it's called, that's what I heard. I wish JJ would have called it a holocron. I mean, sure, a holocron is it's just a message box, right? It contains a message for a Jedi or a Sith. So if it's a Sith holocron, only a Sith can open it, except Ezra. And a Jedi holocron is just for the Jedi. You use the Force, and they could have used the holocron. I mean, it wouldn't be far fetched that the holocron could be accessed to on a ship, and could take you to the Sith homeworld. All right, so Kylo used it, and for a while, I thought the Sith homeworld. For a while, before Disney came along, it's the Sith homeworld has always been Korriban, Korriban, and lately it's been called Moribond, and now apparently it's called in the movies Exegol, and it doesn't matter, but we get the idea. It could be a satellite homeworld because the old homeworld could have been abandoned or destroyed. For a while, I thought it was going to be Mustafar because Momin's tomb was there. Check out Darth Vader comic books by Marvel Comics. I guess the Sith homeworld can be anywhere where there is the greatest presence of the dark side. So it could be moving around, and for this movie, it's in Exegol. Anyway, so so they're looking for it, they're finding it, and through the process, it's a whole new adventure, jumping from planet to planet, and we get to see jet troopers. Yes, jumping troopers. I thought that was quite of the highlight of stormtroopers. I mean, stormtroopers have always been boring, but you get jet troopers, and then we get to another planet called Kijimi. Is that right? Kijimi, and it's I thought it was a better experience than the casino planet, or the planet of Maz Kanata. I thought Kijimi was like a backwater type of planet, and much like Jeddah, something like that. And stormtroopers were everywhere. And interesting about Star Wars, there's never a shortage of aliens and new characters, and we get to see Zori Bliss. I didn't want to research about that character. I knew it was going to be played by a very very strong actress. I did not want to research. Then when I saw it, I thought the character was great. Played by Kerry Russell. I mean, I'm a big fan of Kerry Russell since Felicity, and I thought it's a great character. She was like a combination of, she was like a good Boba Fett, or that other bounty hunter from Attack of the Clones, something like that. It was sort of like a mix up, but she was like in the comic books there's very similar characters to her, like Dr. Aphra, or not Dr. Aphra, another character. But I thought the character was great. My only if at all gripe or disappointment with it is that she didn't get enough role. Sure, she helped the trio find Baba Frick to unlock C-3PO. That's great and all, but I wish she could have seen more action. She did see action in the end as a pilot, but as a fighter on the ground, I thought I wish there would have been more exposure for her. Maybe she could go snake eyes on all the stormtroopers a little bit more. Something to that. And I'm pretty sure Marvel Comics and Disney, I'm sure they have plans for that character. It's too interesting of a character to just keep in that part of the saga. I'm sure they're probably gonna make a comic book out of her, maybe a series or whatever. And I'm going to be very excited to find out more about that. Okay, apparently she is quite like a love interest to Poe Dameron, and she is like a link to Poe Dameron's checkered past. And it was interesting. Dameron was a spice trader for a while, and I guess that's sort of kind of like a smuggler, I suppose. So kind of like a Han Solo vibe going on, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Then we get C3PO and Baba Frick trying to unlock C3PO, and to do that, he had to erase his memories. And yes, it sort of revealed the humanity of C3PO, the human side of the droid, that he made friends and he did not want to forget them. And when they erased him, the memory, he unlocked the location of the Sith vault and where to find the Wayfinder. And then I kind of knew they were going to um, revert this. I mean, it's so easily because they already talked about the backup in C3PO in R2D2, and I knew the memory loss was just temporary. Okay, let's go back to the planet of where they find Lando. Here is the famous trailer part of that trailer where Kylo rams Rey, and then Rey somersaults and destroys the ship, and then Kylo comes out unscathed. And there's a part here where this is probably the most shocking part of the movie for me. Rey tries to hold back the transport, the troop transport that's captured Chewbacca. He holds it, Kylo tries to let him go, they fight, and then Rey, just on instinct, does the dark side electricity or dark side lightning force effect. And I was like, whoa, my God. And I think I was the only one in the theater who was like taking aback. Everyone was very quiet. I was like, oh my God. And right there, you already knew where this was going. And then from that moment on, Kylo reveals uh, that she is a Palpatine. And no, not that at that moment, but there is a suspicion that she is from the dark side. And it gets revealed later on that she is a Palpatine later through the story when the friends try to rescue Chewbacca. What's interesting here is from since episode 8 you get to see a facet of Rey that's not really quite there. It's not quite right, and that troubles her and that causes her imbalance. And here it's aggravated because Kylo already knows something. And on this planet also, Finn tries to tell Rey something, and it's discovered again later on as they progress. They rescue Chewbacca, okay, and in that at that moment, when they try and after they rescue Chewbacca, I'm gonna go back to the Chewbacca escape later on, but it seems like Finn knows something about Rey, and and Poe is sort of being suspicious of Finn, and Finn is being suspicious of Poe because Poe used to be a spice trader and he's not selling everything, and then Finn wants to know what Poe wanted to tell Rey when they were about to die in that quicksand on Lando's planet. And I'm guessing it wasn't completely revealed in the movie, and Finn says, "I know what Rey's going through," and I can only surmise that Leia Leia knew that Rey was a Palpatine. It was later revealed in the movie that she knew, and I can only surmise that Leia had spoken to Finn and told Finn about Rey's dark ancestry. So that was interesting. It wasn't completely revealed, but it gives, maybe fans are given the opportunity to guess that fact. Okay, the escape on Kylo Ren's ship. I thought that was great. There's a lot of throwbacks to old Star Wars, like using the Force to manipulate weak minds. I thought that was great. And that's when the psychic battle happens, because they're still connected together. Kylo is on the ground looking on Kijimi. Kylo's looking for Rey, and Rey's upstairs in his ship, and they fight, sort of that psychic astral plane and whatnot. And that's how Rey finds out she's a Palpatine, and from that moment on, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be an uphill battle for Rey, and I am going to be very interested on how this thing gets resolved. And well, I was not disappointed. So it does turn out that she has that dark side. So she goes out and she goes and finds the vault. And when she gets to the vault, Kylo confronts her, destroys the Wayfinder, and says, you can't go to the homeworld of the Sith unless through me." And they fight. And here's where it gets interesting. They fight, they keep fighting. It's like a never-ending duel between good and evil. Kylo trying to be evil, resisting good, and Rey trying to be good, resisting evil. I loved it. It was a great symphony. It was a great dance. For some people, I'm pretty sure they're gonna get bored with the lightsaber fights, but a lot of critics saying it's too much fan service. I don't think so. I think we've missed a lot of it in episode 7 and 8, and now we're getting a lot of lightsaber fights. I was just enjoying myself with it, and they've learned some skills. They've gotten skills, and it felt like it was never gonna end the fight, and part of me felt like, oh, I hope it doesn't end, because this is the last movie, and in that moment, sort of knew what his son was going through, and he knew the only way to save Ray was to get through his son and stop him. And that's what happened. Ray kills Kylo, stabs Kylo with a fatal blow because Kylo gets distracted by his mother. And then Leia, with all his strength, projected that much, she passes. She passes. Her corpse just lies there. Take note, her corpse is still there. Okay. Um, and then Ray, because she cared somehow for Kylo, which was revealed in episode 8. Like I said, episode 8 very integral for episode 9. Like the yin and yang. Without episode 8, there would be episode 9. Dark side, light side of the force. Same side of the same different sides of the same coin. She heals Kylo. And apparently the force has been revealed to have healing capabilities. Ray, when they got stranded beneath the quicksand, Ray had healed a great giant serpent, and here she heals Kylo, and she does that with the use of the Force, giving part of her life force to Kylo. And I was wondering why she did that. I Part of me thinks that Ray's just a kind person, and another part of me thinks that Ray still believed in the goodness of Kylo, which was a recurring theme in the original trilogy, and in some parts of the prequels, but the prequels could not save Darth Vader. Darth Vader had to be saved in episode 6, and this was sort of like a recurring theme for me, that Rey still believed she could save Kylo Ren, and not just physically, but from the dark side, and she does, and she leaves and takes Kylo's ship, and after that, Kylo has a confrontation with the spirit of his father. And his father apparently has been trying to make him quit the dark side. It's like going cold turkey, and the symbolism for that is like throwing the lightsaber. It's kind of corny for a lot of people, but for me, actually, I thought that throwing the lightsaber was very symbolic. The lightsaber, Kylo's crossblade lightsaber, was his connection to the dark side. The kyber crystals are more than just instruments for lightsabers. They have an element of the force that is connected with the wielder. And the mere act of throwing away the lightsaber, that is very symbolic of his willingness to leave the Kylo Ren mask behind, everything behind, and become Ben Solo once again. And he does that. And it was very nice. It was a very touching scene. We finally get closure with him and his father. And we get to see Harrison Ford one last time as Han Solo. And I was beside myself with emotion, and I thought, oh my god. And then where's Leia? Oh my god, I wish they had all reunited. Lando's here, and anyway. So Kylo becomes Ben Solo. The death of Kylo Ren and the resurrection of Ben Solo. So Rey goes back, takes the ship, goes to Acto, and decides to do what Luke tried to do. Just go in hiding, because she feels the pull of the dark side. And she feels that she's trying to avoid becoming the leader of the Sith, like in his vision. In his vision, in the throne, she and Kylo Ren sit as heads of the Sith. So he goes and goes into exile like what Luke does. Just destroys the ship, and then this tries to destroy the lightsaber, and Luke, Force Ghost, catches the lightsaber. And again, here, another element of the Force. We've seen Force projection, we've seen telekinesis, we've seen telepathy, we've seen healing, and, well, resurrection, which we'll see later on again, dark side resurrection, and another form of resurrection later on. And there is this tangibility that the Force Ghost has. And I'm guessing it's much like a poltergeist. A poltergeist can move objects, throw away plates, and all that. And I guess that's the same thing. When you're a ghost, you can actually move objects. And Luke catches the lightsaber and does the Yoda thing to Rey. And I thought that was very nice. It's a nice throwback to Yoda, talking to Luke or Obi-Wan Kenobi. And again, like I said, the recurring themes of the Star Wars movies are always full circle. It's always going back to its roots, and this is the old elder Jedi mentoring the new Jedi, and I thought that was great. And he tells him, uh, "You have everything you need to find the Sith homeworld." And then, sure enough, uh, Ray digs up the Wayfinder on Kylo's ship, and immediately, if you're a big fan of Star Wars, you've seen Episode 8, all throughout Episode 6, 5, you know how this is gonna work out. She doesn't have a ship, but she has a ship. She's on Acto, Luke Skywalker's Red 5. Red Squadron X-Wing. Oh my goodness. It just sent shivers. I had goosebumps there. And I was like, and Yoda brings up that X-wing, and in the same vein, Luke brings out that ship from the bottom of the ocean. You already knew that. That was some foreshadowing at the end of Episode 7. I was waiting for that moment, and J.J. Abrams did not disappoint. I loved that moment. So Ray riding R5 or Red 5 was absolutely amazing to me. I mean, if you're a big fan of the old trilogies, oh my god, the kids will not understand, but Red 5 back in the air, amazing. So, and Ray wearing that helmet. Oh my goodness. Okay, so fast forward to oh, one more thing. In that scene in Acto, Luke gives uh, something to Ray, and it's revealed that he's been keeping Leia's lightsaber. Leia with a lightsaber. In this point in the movie, it's revealed that Leia is a Jedi, is in fact trained as a Jedi by Luke, and now she has a lightsaber. That would explain in Episode 8 why she was able to use the Force, and why she is now training Rey, because only a Jedi can train another Jedi to become another Jedi. So, a Padawan or someone to become another Jedi. And this makes all the sense in the world. And with Leia, a lightsaber, I'm just thinking toys, toys, toys. Oh my god, how are we ever going to afford these things? And I'm just so excited the potential for this. And in the story, that it seems like they were in Endor or in a jungle scene and they were training. We get to see a younger version of Luke, a younger version of Leia. It seems like it was just right after Episode 6. Oh my god, it was amazing. It was a very amazing scene for me. I totally enjoyed that. A young Mark Hamill and a young Carrie Fisher back in being Jedi's, and I thought that was amazing. I thought that was one of the biggest, best reveals for me in this movie. So Rey takes both lightsabers. Okay, so they go in the final battle. They confront the Emperor. The Emperor finally says, "My granddaughter shall take my place. My spirit shall inhabit her, and we will become leaders of the Sith by killing me." And again, it mirrors what Snoke did. Snoke wanted Kylo to kill Rey, and here, the cadence, the voice cadence that Palpatine was trying to tell Rey, "I am going to kill your friends if you don't kill me and ascend as Sith leader," and she just does reluctantly. And the cadence of Snoke, of Palpatine, like she comes closer, she will strike, and like kind of reminds me of Snoke, like the cadence of Snoke's voice and how she had narrated what Kylo Ren was going to do, and which gives more credence to the fact that Snoke was supposed to be a clone or an incarnation of the Emperor in some regard. But Rey does a number on him, and Kylo comes up to the rescue, and Kylo gets stopped by the Knights of Ren. Quite frankly, I wanted to mention something about the Knights of Ren very quickly before I forget the train of thought. I thought they were great, but they just acted like Kylo's posse for the most part of the movie. And in that final battle, they acted like the new Praetorian Guards. They tried to stop Kylo Ren, and Rey does a number on the Emperor because they're still connected together. They're linked. Apparently, I'm not sure if the Emperor was very familiar with what Snoke did to connect both Rey and Kylo, the full extent of that at this point of the movie. So Rey sort of teleports the lightsaber to Kylo. Kylo does this Praetorian Guard battle with the Knights of Ren. It was amazing. It's going to be amazing. Yes, yes, yes. And then Rey, with Leia's lightsaber, battles out the new Sith Royal Guard. The old Royal Guards were amazing, and even in the comic books, you got to read about them. They're amazing. In this new Sith homeworld, the Royal Guards use guns more than the staff, and Rey just tears them apart. Okay, and once the pair wins, the Emperor summons them and finally discovers the true potential of the dyad, the combination, their link, the Force link, and it's sort of, again, that element of the Force resurrecting somebody from the dead, and Palpatine is resurrected, and he just makes puts them to their knees, Kylo and Rey, and then he throws Kylo away to the cliff, but Rey somehow manages the strength to get both lightsabers and try and stop the Emperor. The Emperor never learned his lesson, attacks with the electricity, the force lightning, and Rey, just like Mace Windu, blocks it and turns it back to him. And what's interesting about this is that Rey, with two lightsabers, reverting the dark side lightning force to the Emperor and eventually destroying the Emperor. Finally destroying the Emperor. No more bodies, no nothing, just disintegrating the guy. She completed what Mace Windu could not do in Revenge of the Sith because Anakin happened. So I thought it was amazing. I thought, again, the whole theme of full circle, and for fans of the Star Wars franchise, you'll easily connect this, and I thought it was an amazing scene. And so you'll expect what's gonna happen. The fighters upstairs, the fighters in the sky, they're gonna win. They do a lot of sacrifice. A lot of them die. It was also interesting that the Emperor was able to stop everybody with force lightning in the air, and I thought that was kind of cheesy. But again, as I said, suspension of disbelief. I thought it was not completely impossible because dark side of the force. Anyway, so Rey passes because she spent all her energy, and Kylo Ren does her a favor, returns the favor, and saves her by putting what little force he had inside of him. And the two kiss. And this is what I've been suspecting a long time ago, that Kylo Ren and Rey had the strong connection. They had this love hate thing going on, but they genuinely felt for each other, and it was confirmed with that, and it was amazing. And then finally, last breath, Kylo dies. And what's interesting about his death is because his last act, I think, very very true to how Disney is, your last act of goodness saves you. That is your final act of goodness, becomes your final act for salvation. And it saves Kylo, and he dies as Ben Solo, and he vanishes just like a Jedi. And on the other side of the Rebel base, Leia vanishes. And I thought this was an amazing scene. Kylo has finally come at peace. Han is at peace, Leia is at peace, and Leia and Kylo both die. Leia and Ben, I should say, both die as Jedis, and it was amazing. It was heartwarming. It was closure. It was full circle completeness, and I was very touched by that, and and I think that was the most touching, one of the most dramatic scenes in the movie. So Rey comes back, they all escape, they all have a good time, they all come back, get reunited. Also, one thing to note about the battle, Finn meets Jaina. I forgot to mention Jaina, an ex-stormtrooper. I thought that was an interesting character, and they go together on the mission, and they try and stop. It's like in the same vein as most Star Wars. Something's controlling the ship. There is like a tower that has to turn off the shield. In this case, they need to destroy the tower that controlled the ships, and they do that. They do a lot of sacrifice. They all survive. One thing I'm missing though is Rose Tico. I know she was there, but if you've seen Episode 8, who hasn't? Rose was a very adventurous spirit. She was gung ho. She was brightly. She was sprightly. She was a bright spirit. She was a ray of sunshine, very positive. And in this movie, I'm not sure what happened. Maybe she broke up with Poe, or maybe they had a falling out. But she was a little bit. She was very depressing. She was very serious. It's as though J.J. Abrams decided to protect the character from being bullied. Kelly Marie Tran was bullied after, you know, Episode 8 by Star Wars fans. Oh my God. That was just stupid. I loved the character Rose. I mean, she was amazing. She was a great character. Um, she was kind of she's kind of kooky at sometimes, but she was a good, decent character, and I don't understand why people bullied her, bullied that character. And this movie was sort of, it made the character tread lightly. It's as though they were giving her a more serious tone so that she would not get bullied or people wouldn't say too much about her, which was a shame because I missed the adventurous part of Rose, and she was sort of the sidekick, a new sidekick with Finn. But I guess JJ felt that, he had to bring back the old Harry Potter trio, and Rose could not be part of that picture. We could still see Rose caring for Finn, but I'm guessing they had a breakup, or it just didn't work out. They dated probably, but it didn't work out. But it's just a shame that we lost a lot of that positive ray of sunshine from Rose, the Rose character, and made her very serious. Interesting also to note that J.J. Abrams put in some characters from the series Lost. You get Dominic Monaghan and the what's his name, the hefty guy from Lost, the guy from Heroes with the telepathy. I got his name. I can't remember it right now for the life of me. But he finally said it. He finally said the line to make him crash. And back in episode 7, they've been wanting him to say the line so that they could kill him off in the movie, but he didn't want to say it, and he dies here. It's just amazing how they brought him back. The only pilot I'm missing is Jessica Henwick's character. I was half expecting her to be back there in the fray. Or was she? I tried my best to see where she was, but I couldn't find her. But anyway, so everything goes back, celebration, and like episode 6, or like Harry Potter, everybody's very happy. And there's a touching scene where the three get reunited: Poe, Finn, and then they see Ray and they hug, and it's a very Harry Potter moment for me. I love the Harry Potter films. I love the Star Wars films, and that to me, wow, I took a great deal of effort to hold back the tears. It was after a grueling 9 episodes, you feel like this is really the end of the saga. Okay, all right, and then lastly, the epilogue. Rey comes back to Tatooine in the homestead, Lara's homestead, and she brings both lightsabers. And immediately you see something dangling on the side. She has constructed her own lightsaber. We'll get to that in a little while. The two lightsabers, she wraps them and she buries them just outside, just on the grounds of the Lara's homestead. I thought that was very touching. Again, full circle. Everything's come back. Anakin's home in Tatooine, which is Luke's home, and Leia, and well, now Leia. And a stranger, one of the passersby, looks at her. Nobody's been here for a while. Who are you? And she goes, Ray. Ray what? And throughout the film, they've always been trying to establish who Ray was. Back in that planet on Lando, an alien kid asks Ray, "What's your last name?" Or, "I want to know what your last name is," but Ray doesn't says it. The movie makes a big deal that Ray does not have a last name, and then when they reveal it's Palpatine, she doesn't accept it straightforward. And now she goes, Ray, and then she looks in the horizon and she sees the ghosts of Luke and Leia, very happy, smiling down on her. It's as though they're telling her, yes, you're one of us now. You're the good guy. And you've defeated the Sith, the dark side, and you've brought balance to the Force. Uh, I'll talk about balance in the Force in a little while, but here she says she takes on the mantle of Skywalker and she tells the passerby, Ray Skywalker. And that's probably the only connection to the title, The Rise of Skywalker. I honestly thought the title had nothing to do with the film. They could have easily renamed the film as Return of the Sith. That could have been great, but that would be too spoilerish and it wouldn't have as great as a enigmatic theme to it as Rise of Skywalker. So I thought Rise of Skywalker was great. Now, the way Rey defeated the Emperor, she was lying on her back, defeated, and she's been throughout her training. In the first parts of the movie, she was training with Leia. She's always trying to say, "Be with me, be with me." And then here it's revealed that he's asking the ancestors of the Force, the Jedi, trying to be with her, and she does. She hears the voices. 1,000 generations of Jedi are with you now, and we are with you. And you get to see, to hear a lot of voices. You hear Obi-Wan Kenobi's voice, Ewan McGregor. You hear Luke Skywalker's voice, Mark Hamill. Then you hear Ahsoka's voice. And that, oh my goodness, that's like, if you hear Ahsoka's voice, Ahsoka does become a Jedi Knight, Jedi Master, and she's now one with the Force as a Jedi, which was great because if you remember, she left the Jedi Order as a Padawan. We never really got closure because she became, she was part of the rebels, and she had a non-Jedi lightsaber, and we were thinking, was she a Jedi or not a Jedi? And here we find closure. Ahsoka does become a Jedi, which was great, which was really great. This is great fan service from JJ. And then we hear Anakin Skywalker. Oh my God. And Anakin says, "Return the balance to the Force, just like how I did it." So that does not negate the resurrection of the Emperor as the prophecy being unfulfilled. The prophecy was fulfilled. Anakin Skywalker brought balance to the Force by killing the Emperor. It's just an imbalance was brought about by his resurrection. So again, like yin and yang, the dark side somehow finds a way to rear its ugly head, but what's interesting about this is that Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, fulfilled the prophecy of bringing balance to the Force. It was just undone by wielders of the dark side of the Force and had to be redone through Rey permanently by the destruction of Sheev Palpatine. And through the help of the ancestors, the Jedi ancestors, Rey was able to do that. In the final scene, Rey takes out her lightsaber and she rotates it. I thought it was pretty interesting, and ignites a yellow lightsaber. What does this mean? If you've done some research, the most common lightsaber color is blue, of course, because it's used by the Guardians, the Jedi Guardians. These are like the knights. These are the ones in the battlefield, the keepers of the peace, guardians of justice, and all that. So blue lightsabers is very common. Green lightsabers are the consulars. These were the diplomats. These were like the negotiators, the elderly ones, sit on the council and all that. They negotiate peace treaty. They don't necessarily resort to lightsabers and blasters and all that. Okay, red lightsabers obviously are for the dark side wielders. Purple lightsabers are for the Jedis who actually wield both light and dark side, intermittently, but predominantly the light side. It's like a combination of blue and red, so you have purple, something like that. And finally, we get yellow. Yellow lightsabers are used by the Sentinel Jedis. These are the sort of what you call the James Bond 007 Jedi Knights, where they're sent to a mission and they're like just like James Bond. They're out to eliminate the threat, and they are actually the ones who hunt down and destroy the Sith, or the dark side users of the Force. And since Rey destroyed the Sith, entirety of the Sith, Palpatine said he was the entire Sith, all the Sith. And now that Rey has destroyed the Sith, I guess it was only fitting that she wields the yellow lightsaber. Wow. So with that, I thoroughly enjoyed the film. Right after watching the film, I was very pensive about it. I honestly could not think of one thing they could have done to improve the film. I mentioned a few things they could have done, like the holocron and all that. But honestly, I think this movie, it's not perfect, 100%, but it was perfect for me. And I thought it was a fitting end to a saga. It goes back, again, to all the themes of Star Wars. It has everything for a very successful, coherent, very enjoyable, fun Star Wars movie. The way George Lucas had envisioned it. It comes full circle from where it began. And it has all the elements of a quest, more aliens, characters. It got the final battle in space, the final battle of good versus evil, lightsabers. And intrinsically, you find the message of Star Wars as hope. That in life, we need hope. We need friends. We need we need to have some sense of camaraderie. We cannot do these things alone. We cannot defeat the dark side alone. That both good and light and the dark and the evil, they exist together. Same sides, different sides of the same coin. The good, the bad, the yin and the yang, light side of the force and the dark side of the force. And it is what is in life. That is what life's all about. Without the dark, there can be no light. And I think as Disney wanted to interject, additionally to that, what the entire essence of Star Wars is, Disney had its touch, and the theme is, you are who you make yourself to be. And despite of your past, despite what you've done before, what matters is now, what you do with your life. And that's exactly how I want to end this discussion. A message of hope, friendship, good triumph over evil, and acting in the present. Forget the past. Keep the past in mind, but do not dwell over it. Do not let it overcome you. What you do in the present is what makes you who you are. And I'm testament to that. I've had a lot of things done in the past. A lot of things have happened to me in the past which I thought I could never recover from, and it's what made me who I am today. And that's essentially the Disney and the Star Wars message in this whole saga. All right? And it is what you do right now that is up to you. For those who have not seen the movie, please do not spoil the movie for them. You can tell them that it's a great movie. Give them safe comments like, "Oh, it was amazing. You're gonna have lots of fun. It's a great Star Wars film." I think that's pretty safe. I think that's what I've told some of my friends. It's great. It's 10 out of 10 for me. That's a very safe answer. But do not give any spoilers. You can talk about it all you want, but no spoilers. And like I said, saying that you enjoyed the film, I don't think that's a spoiler. All right. With that, thank you for joining me today in today's discussion. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the film. I thought it was great. And it's going to get a 10 out of 10 for me, obviously. And till next time, I hope there is a next time. More movies, Star Wars. May the Force be with you always.